Well, happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. Apologies, we've been a little bit different than normal with timings and stuff, just because we've been a bit busy. But trying to fit you in when we can, and thankfully managed to find some time to do a quick little FanTeam Gameweek 37 preview. As always, joined by Sam. How you getting on, mate? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag, mate. Like I had real big aspirations for this week, and when you have big aspirations, that's always a worry. It hasn't kind of gone to plan, so as we'll discuss in a minute, although it's not end of the world stuff, it's just I'm a bit frustrated with it. But as you said to me, mate, yesterday, just got to deal with it.
Yeah, you're
It's
the
ebb
man
and
in
flow.
a much better position to me. So very happy to just start off having a quick look at your team, mate. It's on the screen now.
Yeah, just pulling it up for myself. So ended up going with a -4 to bring in Cancelo, Richarlison, and Gordon. You may see Gordon on the bench. Think, why did you take a -4 to get Gordon in? Basically, Gordon was the make way piece to allow Cancelo and Richarlison to come in, and out went Havertz, Veghorst, and Doherty, which I think is three good moves to get rid of. Um, and then the risk was to start with Foster in goal. So I didn't have to make a transfer move there and then rotate in with Pope for next week. So essentially Foster got his double this week, regardless of Watford are relegated. And then I go with Pope next week. And that kind of paid off. Watford got
Yeah, he did well. Yeah,
he did well in the first game. It wasn't for a penalty. He could have come away with two clean sheets, couldn't he? So he sort of returned me 13.2. And then just a big gallon of frustration looking at that back four right now. Like Liverpool, Van Dijk and Trent, no clean sheets whatsoever, been clean sheet monsters for many weeks in a row. We look on the side of sort of slightly out of form, not quite firing, but still sort of shithousing our way, if that's the best phrase to use. Obviously, Van Dijk got the assist for Matip, so that's something. Alonso and Rudiger, well, this was one big drama, wasn't it? With Alonso gets hooked at half time v Wolves. They're two up. We look totally on course for a cruisy clean sheet and whatever. Something obviously happened. Alonso gets hooked, end up conceding two goals. Delighted to see him back, probably like you last night, to see him back in the team sheet. And I guess he rectified me a little bit of pointage, or both of them did yesterday with the 7-3. I knew Cancelo was kind of, I hate the phrase, but due, and he was. I think he came away with two assists and a clean sheet over the two games. So he was basically, it was either take no hit and not have Cancelo, or take a -4 and have Cancelo. And I went with you tonight, back and forth, doing a little bit of maths on Anthony Gordon versus Cancelo and who to start. And I think I've come up via 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 by like 4 or 5 points on top of the -4, so it was worth it. And now I've got Cancelo then to see me in for the rest of the season. Wish I'd captained him basically, but hindsight's wonderful. Stuck the armband on Salah. Was happy that the goal was from Son to wipe out my Van Dijk and Trent clean sheets. So that was something. Salah, yeah, he's just looked way off the boil since AFCON. I've got half a temptation to get rid of him for next week, depending on what happens on Saturday. If there's like 120 minutes, something like that, I'm probably going to do it. Although I don't know yet. Just wide right, not many chances, not huge amounts of involvement. Just the thing with Salah is, Tom, isn't it? It's like he just come to life out of nowhere, can't he?
yeah.
You
I
just
remember
remove him
he
and
did it last season. He had, I don't know, I think it was a good 7 or 8 games that he didn't score in, and then in the middle of that dry patch, I think he didn't quite hit a hat trick, but he scored
two
two
goals.
unbelievable goals against West Ham, and
West
that's
Ham.
the ability he's got, isn't it?
Yeah, and so that's always the worry when you're going to transfer out someone like that. Saka, probably the biggest disappointment in the starting 11, actually, because he looked bright and breezy against Leeds. Obviously, came off with a little bit of a niggle. And we are filming this on, what's the date today, Tom? It's
We're on the
Thursday the
we're on the 12th today.
Thursday the 12th. So basically the day of the North London derby. So the game hasn't happened yet. People watching might well have seen the game, but he's due not to be playing tonight, isn't he? He's a doubt. So
Yeah.
he could come in as a real disappointment for this game week, but I still think the thought process to select Saka was the right one. Kane and Son actually still both play, so I'm hoping that something from those two could potentially just bring me back up to rank. And yeah, Richarlison. I mean, what did you say, Tom? 6 goals all season? Is that right?
I
Premier
don't.
League.
He's not done great for goals, but it was just the fixture volume in there. Everton have stuff to play for, isn't it?
So 9.7, oh, I'll take it. I think there was an assist in there. They've got another couple of games, nice looking games coming up. Obviously, Gordon will play in those as well for me. So I'm all right. I'm set up. But yeah, he didn't certainly pull down any trees, did he, when you look at some of the hauls from other players. So current rank about 600. So I think I've dropped to like 150, but I do have 2, potentially 3 players for tonight. So yeah, I don't know what it'll look like, but I imagine going into tonight with sort of, if 3 do play, there could be a potential to at least bring me back to my start game week rank, which is around 440, 450. So yeah, it's where I'm at, mate. Not amazing, but not a disaster.
Yeah, I'd say mine was verging on disaster, to be honest. And I'll move on to my team now. So I started the week in 1400th, I think. And obviously we did the pod last week. Feel I set myself up really, really well for the double. I partly fallen, I think, because of the players I decided to start against the ones that are on my bench. You'll see there that there are a couple of bench players that are outscoring my outfield. It's quite painful. But yeah, what can you do? So yeah, I've dropped from, I was about 1300th at the start of the week, and I'm now down to 1700, 1800th, but it is what it is. And yeah, we've still got 3 players to play tonight, which is, by the looks of it, higher than the average. So yeah, hopefully we'll be doing all right. Schmeichel in goal. I mean, similar story to Foster, really. I think last night he kept a clean sheet, and I heard he made like 6 saves in the first half or something mental. So yeah, very happy to just keep him for the season. But you'll see the bench theme continues here because Foster outscored him by nearly 3 points. But that's 3 points. I can't get too mad about that. Very similar defence to you. I think you've already spoken about all of my defenders. Son, Salah, Saka, midfield, same as yourself, Sam. Kane and Richarlison. And then for some reason, I don't know why, but Dennis, right, he has scored goals against pretty much every calibre of opposition in the league this season. And I thought, just whether Watford go down or not, he would be absolutely nailed to play both of the games. Obviously, he blanked in his first game, and then he just got ruled out for the season or something like that halfway through the game week. So, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, would I start Dennis again? I mean, between Dennis, Maddison and Gordon, I think it was a complete toss of the coin who played, because with Maddison, you're worried about the minutes, not thinking he'd play the 2 games. With Gordon, it's similar to Dennis with Gordon, really. You know he'll play the 2 games, but how many points is he realistically going to score? So I backed Dennis, who's, yeah, on the whole, so obviously had more attacking returns than Gordon. And yeah, ended on 1.7. And then I got a bench of Foster, Maddison and Gordon, who have, yeah, between them got nearly 30 points. So, yeah, well, probably over 30 points by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's such close. We did say this before the game week, didn't we? How close it can be. Maybe in hindsight, Gordon over Dennis was the better shout due to the fact that he's a midfielder and picks up clean sheet point as well. But hindsight's wonderful because another week you choose the kind of enabler midfielder. They get 7 points and your striker gets you 15 because he gets a couple of goals. So yeah, I don't think you did any. You just got a little bit unlucky, Tom. There, I think. I mean, Maddison versus Norwich, we called it, didn't we? If we didn't call it on this pod, called it on the Sky one, saying if he starts and there's a haul there. I nearly captained him in Sky last night, didn't actually go for it, but it was a toss-up between him and Reece James actually in the end, because I thought that Maddison would return against Norwich. And yeah, it's fine margins, mate, isn't it? To win the money, the big money, it's fine margins, and you need the rub of the green to go for you majority of the time.
Yeah, I can't get too mad about it. And yeah, going forwards, I think I either make 1 or 2 transfers next week, and we'll have a look at. I've put some stats because we didn't get any questions this week, sadly. So I'll put some stats towards the end about most likely players to score next week, etc., etc. And I looked at the defender prices, and Mikalenko is 4.5 million. So I was thinking a straight swap for Webster to Mikalenko. And that's using my 1 free transfer, and then I might take a hit somewhere else. It's looking like Zaha is the bookies or the algorithm's favourite player for double game week 37, and we'll show you that going forwards. But yeah, maybe take a hit for like Saka to Zaha, especially if Saka's injured. I think it makes sense. But yeah, we'll just see really. But yeah, definitely Webster to Mikalenko. I'm feeling. I think that's probably a wise move.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I know that you were talking to me about Mikalenko a couple of weeks ago, and I think did he have a attacking return in this
Yeah,
game
he
week?
scored. Yeah.
So he scored and he got a clean. That's a real haul, isn't it? And we sort of both talked about it, didn't we, off the thing, but dismissed it. I don't even think he came up in conversation on here, which is for wise. It's wise, really, isn't it? And that's where the punt and the aggressiveness comes in. You like forget about everything that's happened in the season already, that they've been absolute dog. What do they need to do from here to the end of the season? That's, I guess, where the risk comes in.
A quick look at my second chance, mate, just quickly, because I know you called stumps on that, but I'm still running sort of with it. Again,
looks like you had an all right week.
Well,
there,
you
Tom.
think that, but I actually had a rank fall, so I was 400th, and now I'm 800th. I think just because of the flexibility of this format, I think a lot more people had De Bruyne in it. Just because you can swap Kane to KDB in like a one transfer if you want to. So I think a lot of people did that.
And if you start KDB, you get any City player that doesn't, anyone that falls under that starts. So it's like such a safe, well, it is the safety net, but it's for good reason called that, isn't it?
But I looked at this team, right? I haven't changed it this week. I've got 2 free transfers in the bag for 37, which is quite nice. I just looked at this team and I couldn't think of a single transfer that would drastically improve it. Just the way it's set up, and I've got Fofana and Dewsbury Hall there as my 2 enablers. I haven't really got anything in the bank, so I just left it. And I know I've dropped 400 places, but I've still got Son, Kane and Saka to play. Son's ownership's now only 37%. So, if a couple of those players go off, then I'll be doing all right, I think.
And then 2 free moves into next week
2
as well.
free moves into next week. I can spend them however I like. Probably get rid of a Chelsea lad, maybe Saka as well. Like bring in, maybe even Mikalenko or someone like that, and Zaha, like I'm going to do in the main game. But yeah, definitely not too deterred. I mean, I've dropped 400 places, got 3 players left to go, and I still think I'm set up pretty well for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, you look like you are, mate, for sure.
So I'll just quickly flag up the fixtures.
Yeah.
So only 2 game weeks left now. Obviously, we've still got some 36 fixtures to play, but yeah, I mean, we've already done a pod to cover those, and what will be there. But for 37, still, 5 teams, with a double. So we got Villa, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Everton, and Leicester with a double. So yeah, I mean, for me, I've already spoken about the players I fancy. Mikalenko for me from Everton is someone that I'm really eyeing up, and I think Zaha from Palace as well is a cheeky shout.
Sorry, Tom, I was just going to say, if you've just alerted me to Zaha, I mean, I would have brought him in last week if it wasn't for the double. I didn't realise he doubled this week, or wasn't at the top of my mind. Now I've looked at the fixtures. He's been on form. I think if Saka's injured, it's a very wise straight swap that.
I definitely, because obviously another midfielder that doubles that's the same price as Zaha, or similar price as Zaha, is Coutinho. But I just feel it's going to be famous last week, isn't it? Because it's going to be the double that he absolutely goes off in. But I just feel like he's gone off the boil a little bit, and he's been either benched or subbed off early by Gerrard recently as well. So I just don't fancy him for this double myself. I'd go with Zaha personally.
I think the Coutinho is the prime conversation of what we just had about Mikalenko. I think if you're ballsy enough to go for it and expect 4 or 5 point return for the 2 games and say, you know what, I went for it. But with the opportunity that Coutinho could just hit his little, he only needs 1 game, doesn't he, where he just goes nuts. And he had that earlier, he's had that 2 or 3 times earlier in the season.
I thought they looked quite... I was going to say I captured him in a double game week earlier on in the season. I can't remember what week it was now, but I absolutely shot up the ranks because of that, and I think you did too.
Yeah. They looked quite ambitious and up for the Liverpool game. I don't know whether that's just because it was against Liverpool. I don't know. If they show that for the remainder of the season, I'd like 3 of their assets, let alone 1. I mean, I thought Danny Ings and Watkins caused problems up front for Liverpool. I've got my eye on Matty Cash for don't know what I'm going to do. I'm actually waiting to see what happens on Saturday, Tom, with Liverpool and Chelsea, because I think, yeah, not only that, but what happens. No, because City won, didn't they? Yeah, it's a shame we don't get another City game, but it's just kind of City look like they're going to wrap the league up. I'm trying to think ahead of what Jurgen Klopp's sort of thinking, because I would be tempted to take out a Liverpool defender if I needed to try and um, make the moves I want. So I've got a list of players in my head who I think I want, but I don't know when and who I'm going to bring in yet till the Liverpool Chelsea game's over and done with.
And I think one team you mentioned taking out Liverpool defenders there. I don't know. I don't think taking out Chelsea players is a bad idea either. Like someone like Rudiger and Alonso, for example. They played last night. They'll play the cup final on Saturday, and then they'll play next week. Whether that's enough time between the games, I think it might be. But yeah, I just think Chelsea could have a bit of rotation in that Leicester game as well.
Yeah, and it's not the greatest fixture, is it? I like Watford on the final day though. But are they pretty much done now, Chelsea? Have they got the lead? Have they got third sewn up? Is that like
I would say so. At least top four, but I'm just gonna have a quick look at the league table a second.
So am I. 36 points, 70. So we'll have to see what Arsenal do tonight, really, because if Arsenal win, they go a point behind Chelsea. So again, it sort of depends on other fixtures, Tom, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no hard and fast decisions yet at this point, is there? But yeah, just trying to give people the information, I suppose.
Yeah, because it's getting quite pivotal now, really. I've got 2 Chelsea defenders and 3 Liverpool assets, and it's getting to the point where I'm aware that the title for Liverpool is a fag paper's distance away from being over, but still not over. Chelsea, FA Cup final, Liverpool, Champions League final, FA Cup final, Premier League, glimmer of hope. It's like Wood moving on one of their assets. So it's say Van Dijk or Trent out and Rudiger out and bringing in someone else with a little bit like double game week or, a Mikalenko with a little bit to fight for. Is that a wise move? Will there be a lot of rotation and whatever else in Liverpool and Chelsea's team for the remainder of the season? It's annoying, Tom, because do Man City play on Sunday and then Liverpool play midweek against Southampton? I think that's how it falls, isn't it?
I'm just going to check, but I think you're right. Yeah. So yeah, Man City, West Ham Sunday at 2 p.m. and then Liverpool play on Tuesday against Southampton.
So my theory here is, Tom, if Man City win that against West Ham, then Klopp pretty much completely changes his team for Southampton. But if West Ham win, then Klopp goes full strength. We don't know the answer to that before deadline, which is highly frustrating. So it adds an extra element in of guesswork from our point of view, what's going to happen. I think City can still... They ran right last night going forward, but West Ham are a much better outfit than Wolves.
And the thing to think about with City as well is, Laporte went down last night. He had a nice pack on his knee. Any sort of knee injury, I don't think you get back from very quickly. Fernandinho, he got subbed off early. Whether he was injured or just being protected, I don't know. But City's back, 2 centre-backs are going to be Fernandinho and Ake, or a youth player and Ake, which isn't very good. So, and especially against someone like Antonio, for example, I think it will give them some real problems.
Ake's not 100% fit either, though, is he?
So yeah, I mean that's why I also don't think the title race is over, because I think with that weak defence, I think City could be in trouble. But yeah, certainly that West Ham game, you'd fancy West Ham to score for sure.
You definitely fancy West Ham to score. I had a half a thought about taking Cancelo back out again. I've had quite a few thoughts about what to do in that in general with that back line. But you fancy City to score multiple goals in that game as well. If West Ham score twice, you fancy City to score 3 or 4, and that's the issue because they're looking so good going forward. Kevin De Bruyne is on another planet. I actually think kind of low key Phil Foden is on another planet as well. The way he's playing too. Bernardo Silva's been good. Sterling's been good. Like they could have been 6. I don't know if you watched last night.
KDB could have 5 goals. He hit the post as well.
So Foden hit the post. Sterling missed a good chance. It could have been 8.
Sterling missed a load of sitters. The way just did what Sterling does, doesn't he? Yeah.
So I'm sort of thinking, will West Ham score? Probably, but will Man City just outscore West Ham? Probably. Um, so it's so hard to read, isn't it? It really is. Do they get a bit of nerves in that game, thinking like, here we go? This is because if they beat West Ham, that's league done. They just need a draw, don't they, against Aston Villa on the final day at home, and that's with Liverpool winning as well. So it's a shame that the game within FanTeam we have to lock into a decision before we know any of the results. But that's the beauty of FanTeam as well, isn't it?
Yeah, like you say, lots to preempt and think about. Any other thoughts on those fixtures? Any other teams that you want to either buy or sell?
So I'll have Nick Pope in for his double. You'll have Casper Schmeichel, won't you? I mean, Jordan Pickford's a good shout, isn't he?
Yeah, we'll have a look at the draft hound stats which say that. Yeah, I've got the algorithm's best players by positions coming up, but yeah, Jordan Pickford tops the list for goalkeepers. I'm pretty sure. The 1 week goalkeeper punt is Jordan Pickford for sure. And to be completely honest, I don't think he's the worst captaincy shout either for that week.
No, that's what we need to discuss, isn't it? We need to add that element into our pod is the captaincy. We have to remember at the end to go through that. No, I think we've sort of gone off talked about assets. I mean, Leicester midfield's a bit of a minefield because of the amount of rotation, and they've got Chelsea in there as well, which is a tough fixture. So I do think a Barnes or a Maddison's a good shout. You have to be prepared for playing one of the two, but Watford's really nice. I think Jamie Vardy comes back into the topic of discussion again. He scored twice last night, didn't he? And I could see a couple of goals against Watford potentially. Yep. Oh, I brought Jamie Vardy in earlier in the season, and it's totally let me down on FanTeam.
I've never had any success with him in fantasy football. Never.
Same. And so I'd love to go. I'm going to make that move. But I'm pained because I could do Kane to Vardy, no problem. But I'm pained by previous, outings with Jamie Vardy. But here we go, Tom. We'll be chatting about the pod next week, and I'll have Jamie Vardy up front, and I'll be talking through my 6-point return from 2 games, won't I? If that, I'll pull a hammy or something in the first game, I won't see him after.
I'll quickly flash out those stats that I mentioned then. So for a bit of context for people that have not seen Draft Hound or anything of the sort before, there's a couple of things I need to give credit to. First of all, is a really good Twitter account for people to follow. He's called FPL Salah. I think his real name is Abdul. And he every week tweets out based on Draft Hound's algorithm based predictions. He tweets out the likelihood of each of the top players in the game to score in a game week, and he does the same for defenders to keep a clean sheet as well. So just to see that summary every week is really worth giving FPL Salah a follow. And then this week I actually clicked on the website. So this is all just publicly available information. I don't pay for Draft Hound. I'm not showing anything that isn't already publicly available information. But what this gives is a view of the top-rated players in every position. And this has been, as far as I understand it, Draft Hound calculate this through maths in a similar way to the bookmakers calculate odds for players to score, etc. So it's basically the most advanced score prediction maths in football as far as I'm concerned. There's a view here of the top-rated forwards, the top-rated mids, top-rated defenders, and the top-rated goalkeepers. So I won't go through all of them, but it's looking like the highest-rated players for this week, or the ones that are scoring above 90. You've got Zaha, who is the top-rated player in the game for Gameweek 37. There's Harvey Barnes, Danny Ings, Watkins, and Jordan Pickford tops the list for goalkeepers. And then my guy, Mikolenko, tops the list for defenders as well. If you wanted some ideas for players that are looking to be popular, I'd go for this lot. I just need to plug my Mac in a second.
Yeah, that's a really nice insight actually from Draft Town there, Tom.
Yeah, it's a good little bit of info in it. And I don't want to take any credit for doing this. Obviously, I've literally screenshotted their website. So
are you prepared to take a bit of a -4 going into 37?
I think it all depends on it all depends on Saka. I feel like if he is injured, I think yeah, I'll get rid of him for -4 for Zaha. But other than that, I think I'll just do a nice easy Webster to Mikalenko swap for no loss, because I wouldn't feel entirely comfortable having Zaha on the final day. I'd rather have Saka. But if Saka's out for a period of time, then I think it will make sense to buy Zaha. But I think that'd be the only conditions that I take a hit, really. So I've already got the likes of Schmeichel, Maddison. I've got Richarlison. I've got Gordon as well. So I've got a good range of players doubling. It's just whether I can add a little bit to it through another player being injured, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm going to probably take a -4, I think, just regardless, just to bolster that. I'm thinking about Mikalenko or Matty Cash. They both got quite nice doubles for the back line. And then I think the same on you, Tom. It's like if Saka does look like he's just, he's going to be managed to the end of the season, then I'll just happily put Zaha in and then that'll be the -4. If not, then I might go with a little attacking. I really do like the look of a Watkins or an Ings.
Yeah, you've been saying that to me all week, mate. I don't want you to... Yeah, obviously people on the pod won't have the context of that, but me and Sam go back and forth quite a lot about just our teams and stuff. And yeah, from memory, you've been really backing Watkins. Even before 36 even started, you've been thinking he's been a good option.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to, like you just said, though, I don't want to kind of out my 38 team too much. And do I want too many Villa assets going into the final game week against Man City? However, I think if you watch that Liverpool game, it kind of maybe Matty Cash won't keep a clean sheet, but you're thinking Watkins and Ings can do damage at the other end with the way that City and Liverpool play.
Well, we've not only the way they play, like we said, City have got Fernandinho and Ake at centre back, and Ings and Watkins up top. I think they could cause any centre backs problems, especially an out of position player and Ake, who I don't actually think is very good. So.
Yeah, and so it's not actually that bad an idea, is it? No. Especially if Man City have won the league by that point.
And Gerrard's the manager of Aston Villa as well, so he's absolutely going to get them up for that game, isn't he? Regardless.
I like something. Yeah, well, I like something riding on that. It'd be awesome to have something riding on that final game of the season. But we'll discuss that, won't we, when it comes to our transfer final move or final moves for game week 38. Captaincy, Tom.
Yeah. So looking at these stats, and it's the first time I've properly looked at these in any kind of real detail, right? But looking at these stats, I think if I bring in Zaha, I will captain him because I don't see, based on these stats, I'll captain Zaha. But I think if I don't have him, that will be a really tough call because you've got Tottenham against Burnley, which I would say is quite a favourable fixture for Tottenham. And from memory, Son usually performs pretty well in that fixture. There's obviously Salah, who's always an option, but you question whether he'll actually play after the cup final, depending on how long it goes for. So I think the option is between a Spurs player or one of these big double game weekers. And I think, at the moment, I guess the best one I've got is Richarlison. But if I bring in Zaha, I'll probably captain Zaha.
Would you not fancy Mikalenko captaincy?
I couldn't bring myself to captain a 4.5 defender, to be honest. I think just having him in my team will be enough. But
there's two nice fixtures.
That's what I said. I think
Pickford's a great shout captaincy with saves. He's been Everton's best player, isn't he?
That was going to be my point. Yeah, because I think with the defender, if he doesn't get a clean sheet or an attacking return, you're done. He's not going to get any points. But with Pickford, you can concede a goal, even 2 goals. But if you make 7 or 8 saves, you're on for a 5 or 6 pointer, which is still like a reasonable return. So I just feel like Pickford is a really good captaincy pick this week.
I think Jamie Vardy is a good captaincy pick. I think he has the potential to be a good captaincy pick. Just Jamie, this is how he works. Last night, 2 goals. He's got a plum second fixture. It's whether he plays both, isn't it, Tom? I think he can score against Chelsea as well, actually. I don't wipe out that Chelsea game at all as he can't score.
No, I think that's definitely a game that any team can score against Chelsea at the moment, I feel. Wolves managed it, didn't they? They scored. Yeah, I think any team can.
I do have half an eye to Jamie Vardy. Like, with the luck, I haven't always been on the right side of the luck this season in general, so maybe if anyone's listening thinking Sam's thinking about Vardy, then you should do the complete opposite. But I do think he's a good captaincy shout. I also think if you had Coutinho, again, if you've got appetite for risk. I think, like you said, Tom, all it takes for Coutinho is one exceptional game, and you've got an
He's on this list, mate. He's the third.
30
He's
point
the third
return.
best rated midfielder at the moment in this list.
Ings and Watkins are a good captaincy shout. I don't think it'll be mega haul, Tom. I really don't. I think a goal in each game for one or the other or whatever will be a good return. But accumulated with match team or match points as well. It'd be a nice 16 point, 20 point return, which is not bad at all. I don't think Pope's a great shout. I certainly won't be going that way. Though I'll have him in goal. Zaha, as you said, is a really a good shout as well. It is a tricky one, like you said, if you haven't got Zaha or maybe Pickford or something, because the single game day assets, as ever, are the better choices with one game, and it's that way up, isn't it? And we've made this error in the past where you've chosen a double game weeker who's suboptimal, and then your single game dayer, like Kevin De Bruyne, is just blowing them out the water in one game. So that'll be where the difficulty lies. I'm sure we'll stick the poll up anyway, won't we?
Well, hopefully. I think we'll have to find a new way of doing it because there are going to be so many options, aren't there? You're going to have the two Spurs boys and then all of the players you see on screen, basically. Be an interesting one, I think.
Yeah, Mel, we'll find a way of doing it, won't we?
But yeah, I feel like on paper, I've already got Schmeichel, so I feel like it doesn't make sense to bring Pickford in. But I think on paper, if I could pick any player in the game to stick the armband on, I personally would go for Jordan Pickford. That would be my choice.
Nice. I think he'll come away with some returns for sure. I really do. How many double game weekers will you have then, Tom? Roughly.
So I'll just have a look see at my team a second. So at the moment, I will have Schmeichel. I'll buy whatever happens. I'll buy Mikalenko or cash. Mikalenko won't get injured, will he? But so that's 2. I'll have Maddison 3, Richarlison and Gordon. So I'll have 5.
Shall I have a look at mine? I've got Jacob Ramsey, which I've heard rumours that he's out for the season, but then I heard rumours last week that he was just going to be
It's a mixed
like
bag on him, isn't it? Really don't know.
He's such a cheap enabler. I don't mind I'm not going to remove him or anything. I would just leave him on my bench, basically. That's what I would do. I will have change team. Right, let's have a look. So I'll have Pope in goal. I'll probably bring in either Cash or Mikalenko, so that'd be 2. I'll have Gordon. I'll have Richarlison, and then if I bring in Zaha potentially, then that would be 5 as well.
And I don't feel like
stands.
It's not like the last week where the double game week was amazing. And to be honest, to even keep ground, you probably needed 11 double game week players. This week, I feel 6 maximum, but 5 or 6, you're absolutely fine. I think if you're a bit lower than 5, you'd want your single game day players to probably perform exceptionally well. But yeah, I guess really 4, 5, 6 doublers, you're doing all right, aren't you?
If Ramsey's fit, I'll have 6, but then it'll be that the old age
start
question.
him over a single, yeah.
Do I start him over like a Chelsea or Liverpool asset, for example? That's where the challenge will be. So I think you're right. I think optimally between 4 and 6, something like that. And then you sort of half decently set up them for 38 as well.
I'm just going to quickly check if we had any questions while we recorded. No, nothing to talk through there, other than it looks like Gabriel Jesus is going to go to Man City. Anyway. Not Man City, sorry, Arsenal.
Yeah, it could be a good move for them.
That's about it then, really, for this week's, mate. Yeah, good luck to everyone that watched this. And yeah, as always, if you like what you saw and find this useful, please feel free to give us a like and a subscribe. And we'll be back again next week for... I can't believe it's already the end of the season. It feels barely 5 minutes we've been doing podcasts, but yeah, last game week next week. It's a bit of an emotional one, but quite glad at the same time, I think.
Yeah, and then we'll be back for probably some a bit of pre-season stuff, won't we? Reacting to the prices when they come out, building some teams, looking at the players from the promoted teams, all that sort of stuff that we do. We can do it on screen.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I'm hoping that. Well, I can't guarantee what I'm going to win out of FanTeam, but I'm hoping my winnings in FanTeam, I'm just going to reinvest them. So I'm hoping I can buy 2 or 3 extra teams next season. And then I'm going to try and reinvest some of the money I win from Sky as well. And I'm going to put that straight into FanTeam. So hopefully I'll have 4 or 5 teams that, well, I won't review them every week, but we can certainly look at building them all together at the start of the season, for example.
Yeah, we can build a couple of templates, can't we? And what we think, and then we'll have the luck of running the podcast for the whole entirety of next season.
Nice one, mate. Okay, we'll leave it there then. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next week.
Cheers, guys. Speak soon.